Hipkins.
There is not a single person in the country that will be reassured to know that that previous speaker is the chairperson of the Education and Science Select Committee, who demonstrates very clearly for the House the perils of reading the research team's notes without making any effort to understand what they actually say or the issue that's being debated. And perhaps if he had, he would understand the contradiction that's inherent in saying that the code of conduct, that the code of ethics was rubbish, it was inadequate, and then saying that the new code of conduct was based on that code of ethics, contradicting himself all the way through. He might then also know that the students and other education workers that he has spoken about aren't regulated by this professional body. And so why should it be named after them when it's designed exclusively to regulate the teaching profession? Why would it not have a name that reflects the fact that it regulates the teaching profession? I think the member should perhaps have taken a little bit of time to read the bill that he is commenting on and to do a little bit of background research, and then perhaps he wouldn't sound so like he has such a lack of knowledge. Mr. Speaker, I'm pleased to see the two amigos over there have stopped their plotting long enough to pay a little bit of attention to the debate. They can get back to plotting about how they get rid of Bill English a little bit later on, but for now I'm pleased that they're engaged in this particular debate in the House. Mr. Speaker, the Labor Party believes in a high-status, high-trust teaching profession, something the National Party have a great deal of difficulty coming to terms with. A code of conduct. The teaching profession told us through the course of the hearings on this particular bill that the code of conduct was seen as punitive, it was seen as taking away teachers' voice, teachers' control over their own profession, and a code of ethics was seen as aspirational and something that they would like to sign up to and be part of. I want to say the Education Council have done a pretty good job of sidestepping the legislative mandate that they were provided by the government and actually taking a broader view. Note, they don't use the phrase code of conduct in the discussion document they've released, because they are obviously just as uncomfortable about the change from a code of ethics to a code of conduct as the teaching profession are, and as well they should be, because the Education Council, or it should be called the Teaching Council, is supposed to be the regulatory professional body for the teaching profession, and the teaching profession should have ownership over it. This bill by my colleague Ruth Dyson, an excellent bill, couldn't have written better if I'd written it myself. This excellent bill, this excellent piece of legislation, Mr. Speaker, will give the teaching profession some certainty that a future council appointed by the minister, note that under the current arrangements the minister appoints all of the members of the council, so at any moment she could sack the council and appoint, or whoever the new minister is, could sack the council and appoint a different council that could impose a much more punitive code of conduct on the teaching profession that they would not support. This bill would ensure that that doesn't happen. It would give the teaching profession and the teaching community some ownership back over the teaching profession and the way it is regulated. We heard a lot from the profession itself during the hearings. As I said, the New Zealand Educational Institute, who represent primary and intermediate teachers throughout the country, were concerned that the introduction of a code of conduct could gag the freedom of teachers and principals to critique poor policy. Now, we know that that's something that the current government would dearly love to do, because they hate it when teachers and principals stand up and point out all of the flaws in the policy that they are implementing. When they stand up and they point out that the changes being implemented by this government are not good for kids' education, the government hate it. So they don't want to have teachers being able to do that, so they would love to gag the teaching profession. So I think that's a legitimate concern by the NZDI that would be overcome by this bill by my colleague Ruth Dyson. The PPTA pointed out that teachers have a strong sense of ownership over the code of ethics, something that would be taken away from them if the code of conduct was implemented in the way the government want it to be implemented. And I want to say again, I congratulate the Council for effectively sidestepping the directive that was given to them by the current government and adopting a code, not a code of conduct, but a code that is much more aspirational and wider than that. Teachers want to have high professional standards, they want to have high ethical standards, and this code of conduct as envisaged by the National Government, is unnecessarily restrictive and demeaning. I think that this bill, which takes a much more aspirational approach, a much more empowering approach, an approach that puts much more trust and confidence in the professionalism of teachers, would be an enormous step in the right direction.
Todd Barclay.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.